Thanks for downloading another segment from the Best of the Classic Metal Show. The Classic Metal Show is heard live on Saturdays from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Eastern, exclusively at www.theclassicmetalshow.com. And now here's another piece of Classic Metal Show history on the Best of the Classic Metal Show.
The Classic Metal Show.
All right, right back here on the Classic Metal Show. That's brand new House of Lords with a song, probably my favorite song, on their brand new CD, Come to My Kingdom. The song is called I Don't Want to Wait All Night, and I guess the wait is over for having this guy back on the Classic Metal Show, the one and only vocalist of House of Lords, James Christian. James, how you doing, man?
I'm doing fine. How about you?
Excellent, James.
All right.
Well, James, I've got to tell you, man, seems like since with the last record and with this record, you have once again found the groove that was House of Lords at the very beginning, man. I want to congratulate you once again for another fine effort.
Thank you so much. We really are excited about this new one.
Excellent, man. Well, the new one, to me anyway, this is, I loved World Upside Down, and it just seems like with this one, you've really kind of taken what you got back to on World Upside Down, and you've really increased it. You've really added even more of an arena type of a sound to songs like the one we just played or I Need to Fly. It just really sounds like you're really kind of reaching back to what House of Lords was supposed to be about all the way back in the beginning. Is that kind of accurate?
I would say that's very accurate. You know, there is a sound and a style of House of Lords, so it wasn't really hard trying to direct the band in that direction. But when we did World Upside Down, you know, we were coming off of a record that was quite different. So World Upside Down had a lot of great moments, in my opinion, but we played it safe in a few spots because we weren't really sure. Or I would say maybe I wasn't really sure. But on this record, once I knew that we had a band that was thinking the same way, and really the music, we shared the same passion, so then it became easy at that point.
Absolutely. Now, James, I do want to go back a little bit. Obviously, the quote-unquote original lineup of the band, or the popular lineup of the band, came back together for The Power and the Myth, and I'll be honest, it was probably my least favorite record that you guys ever did, and I'm sure you probably heard that somewhat because it was so experimental and a different sound for the band. With that record, and between there and World Upside Down, it really seems like you guys took a look at it and just weren't happy, and changed members and everything else. I guess my question is, when you put the original lineup back together, why did you guys not go back to the original style? Why did you decide to be experimental at that point?
Well, I have to step back for a few years. Also, I didn't put back that original lineup. I was called up to do that record. They had been offered a record deal to put back House of Lords together, and they basically had all the material written. And so I came into it really from the project when it was practically done. And when I heard the material, I thought the musicianship is excellent. I mean, there's no way around it. The musicians are phenomenal, but they really did experiment with the sound. And it should have probably been called a different record than House of Lords because it just didn't have the traditional big hooks, big choruses, and it left me a little flat. Even though I do like the musicianship, I just thought for me as an artist and what I like to do, it just wasn't my cup of tea. So when I discussed maybe going back to what House of Lords does, but have a modern production. In other words, melodic music with a modern production. They weren't really that interested in doing that. So that's where the new members came in.
Sure. Now, how did you get this lineup together? Was it just through auditions, or were the new guys, the guys that joined the band for World Upside Down, were they friends, or how exactly did they the new lineup form?
Well, basically, I knew what I needed. I needed a killer guitar player.
Right.
That was the one thing that, to me, more so than a keyboard player, because it's just what you need in a great rock and roll band, is to have the right guitar player. And Jimmy Bell came to mind because he's from my hometown, number one. I knew him back then as being one of the best guitar players I ever heard, and by chance, I gave him a call. And it basically, after the first song we started writing together, it was like we had never left I had never left Connecticut, and we were still playing in the same bars together.
Right, definitely.
It's an amazing thing. We've been playing, we played the same rooms 20 years ago. And so the connection was great, the friendship was there, and the songwriting was just on fire.
Clearly, you guys did a great record with World Upside Down, and and that's not only as a fan saying that, but it really seemed like that record was very well received. Every review I read, and everything all over the world, it seemed like really people were like really amped to get back to House of Lords being what they knew from the past. When you were out touring it, did you find that fans were jumping back on the same way that they had, way back in the days with like Sahara and those records?
It came together. It certainly did come together after World Upside Down. And World Upside Down was basically, people were saying, well, let's just wait and see.
Right.
Because a lot of people heard that the only original member was me. And so I was getting slack from a lot of people saying, well, how can you call it House of Lords? Well, and my response would be the same way that David Coverdale calls his band Whitesnake.
Right.
You've been in the band long enough, you earn that title. And I feel that I'm the only original member who's ever been on every single House of Lords record. So I used that title, and I kept true to the sound of the band. And yes, once we got out on tour, the response started just getting better and better from every show we did. Now, last year I tried to get on Rocklahoma and couldn't because I ran into the obstacle of, well, you're the only surviving member of House of Lords.
Sure.
And everybody else is gone, so, they weren't interested. And after World Upside Down came out, we just got a call, and they asked us to perform at the 2008. So we're confirmed to play at the Rocklahoma, which I'm announcing to you for the first. That's who I was on the phone with in California.
Okay, great.
So we're on the Rocklahoma show, and that's because that record did that well, and it brought us back to the roots. And people said, well, you know what, that still is House of Lords.
Absolutely, man. Now you're playing am I right in saying that you're playing the same night that Triumph is playing?
We're playing the same night as, I can tell you our lineup.
Okay.
We're playing, first, I think it's LA Guns, then it's Vane, then it's Jet Boy, then it's Enough's Enough, then House of Lords, and then Bret Michaels.
Okay, very cool, man. So you're on the Thursday night. You're on like the exclusive night that
right.
The hardcores get to see.
Right, and it's on the main stage, which is a really nice thing, because I would have taken a side stage last year.
Sure.
I would have taken any stage just to be on that show, but to be on the main stage, after being away in the States for so long, to me was a great tribute to what the band has overcome in the last 2 years.
Speaking of Rocklahoma, I mean, obviously you're obviously amped to play it and stuff, and it's obviously a cool event. Do you think that an event like that, and as well as the numerous festivals in Europe that still support this kind of music, do you think with that kind of an event coming to the States that it maybe puts even a flicker of the flame back in the rock world as far as getting back to straight up rock and roll and melodic rock here in the States?
Well, I think that when you look at a show like Rocklahoma, it is probably one of the biggest festivals that we have in the U.S. And let's face it, if it's the biggest festival that we've been having in the U.S. and it's all based on bands from the 80s, there's got to be something to it. I look in the commercials that are on television right now, and I mean, it's amazing how many songs they're using from that era, from Foreigner to you name it, that they're using those songs. Now, I'm not saying it's making 100% turnaround, but I think that new bands will probably start enlisting the melodic structure to their writing. I think that there's something to that era, that there was a timelessness about it. And it'll probably reintroduce itself with the newer bands that are coming out.
Absolutely, man. Well, James, obviously, listening to Come to My Kingdom, it's very clear that you and I mean, you could put this all the way through the entire catalog of House of Lords, but especially on the new record, you really have a way of expressing some deep inner heartfelt emotion. I mean, songs like I Believe or In a Perfect World or I Need to Fly. I mean, it's very clear that those are very personal to you. I don't know if there are specific instances or instances that you've thought of, but you're very, very good at portraying emotion, man. I wanted to commend you on that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's it's my passion to sing. It's actually my pleasure in life to actually be able to do this. And I'm lucky enough to be able to do it and continue to have fans who will buy records. So, I guess you could consider me very lucky.
Speaking of buying records, what do you think of the industry today? I know it's in complete turmoil. Is it a viable industry for a guy like yourself anymore, or is really a record just a means to get you out on tour and have something new and fresh to offer at shows?
Well, for me, it is practically a full-time job, because if I'm not doing a House of Lords record, I'll do a solo record. And then I have my wife, who actually does records, maybe 2 a year, Robin Beck, who's very famous in Europe.
Right.
And between the both of us and the other productions that I do, it keeps me totally busy. And I'm able to make a good living from doing that, productions for people, singing on other people's records. There's a lot of European records that my voice is on as lead vocalist or background or producing or whatever. So it keeps me very busy. For me personally, House of Lords, we sell quite a few records in Europe. In the States, this will be the first record that Come to My Kingdom will be the first one that was actually released in some format in the U.S.
Okay.
As opposed to the last record, World Upside Down, which I believe just got some kind of distribution in the States. But again, people were wary, distributors were going, well, it's not the same band, Well, we ran into so many obstacles that I kept saying to myself, is it always going to have to be about business and never about the music? When
Right.
When are they going to get it? People buy music because if the music is good, I don't care who's on the album, I'm going to buy it.
Right on.
It really got to me. I started saying, okay, now I'm going to be running up against all these brick walls because it's just me and not the other 5 members. Even if the record is great, that didn't make sense,
Right, absolutely, man. Well, the new record is called Come to My Kingdom. James, where can people find out more about Come to My Kingdom or James Christian or House of Lords online?
Well, I'm glad you asked. It's www.jameschristianmusic.com. And it's everything James Christian and House of Lords, pretty much more House of Lords than anything now. And it has our tour dates, where we're going to be for the next year, a lot of photos from the past, the present, and I also just added a page of videos from our MTV videos from the older days, because a lot of people were asking, where could we get a copy of this video and that video, and I figured I'd just offer it, for them to be able to view it right there.
Very cool, man. Well, as I said, the new album is called Come to My Kingdom, and James, before I let you go, I have to ask you what is known as the traditional classic metal show question. Has nothing to do with House of Lords, but we ask the same question to everybody we interview. And the response is usually interesting, so here we go.
Okay.
How has Lemmy from Motorhead influenced your career?
In no way whatsoever.
Perfect.
Sorry to say. I drank with him a few times at the Rainbow, but that's about it.
Well, somehow that tends to be a lot of people's answer as well.
Yeah.
Well,
are you a Motorhead fan?
Me? Oh, yeah, I love them.
All right. Well, they're definitely a band that's stood the test of time, that's for sure.
Absolutely. They are timeless. Well, James, as a tradition on the show, we always let the artist pick a closing tune and tell us a little story about it. So pick anything from, your catalog or anybody's catalog, really, and just give us a little story to wrap it up.
Well, I guess the song, because I just listened to the album, it was an old Led Zeppelin record, and I heard Kashmir, and I just thought to myself, what an incredible rock and roll song. I mean, it had everything to me that a rock and roll song should have. It was dramatic, it was grandiose, and if I had to hear a song right now, that'd be the one I'd like to hear.
All right, well, here it comes. It is Led Zeppelin with Kashmir right here on Your Classic Metal Show.
Thanks for checking out the Best of the Classic Metal Show. You can tune into the Classic Metal Show live every Saturday night from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Eastern, exclusively at www.theclassicmetalshow.com.